Welcome once again to preseason stuff. We did a video of predictions and how each team looks like in this preseason, like presentation, especially liveries, right? And some bits like Mercedes continuing with the zero pod, the paint reduction thing with most teams having no paint on the car, just carbon fiber. Solutions like the Haas, the anti-rolling, and the let's call it like the shark sail, whatever. And now I would like to speak about some other special details that perhaps many people will not know about the F1 calendar, which is how many races we have, until when these races have a contract, what's more or less the future like for these racetracks, because Liberty has the idea of moving some Grand Prix out of Europe. Apparently there's too many, and exploring other places in the world. So this is the calendar that we have for this year. We have here Bahrain, which has contract until 2036, if I am not mistaken. It's the longest contract in the calendar. In theory, they should be the race to start the season until that date. Before, it was Australia in Melbourne, which has until 2035, as you can see here. Also a very long contract, but I don't think they will be starting the calendar anymore. We have Saudi Arabia until 2030, and as you can see here, there are some news or projects that they might move the race to another city. Kidaya. Honestly, I don't speak Arabic. Pardon me. Correct me if I am wrong in the box of comments. But looks like they're building another city, whatever, and they might move the race to that place. I don't know if they will build a permanent track or they will make it urban, like they have the one now in Jeddah. We have Australia until 2035. Probably they will keep it in Albert Park in Melbourne. We have Azerbaijan, which has contract until 2024. And they started in 2014, if I'm not mistaken. It's a 10-year deal. And most probably, seeing that the race is kind of successful, I think they will renew it. We have Miami until 2031, which started last year. We have Imola 2025, and let's see what's going to happen with this Grand Prix. Might lose, I think, because 2 Grand Prix in Italy doesn't make a lot of sense. Well, it's San Marino, but anyway. They call it San Marino, but I think Imola is in Italy. Anyway, we have Monaco until 2025. They say they might extend it. For me, this would be one of the Grand Prix. I know it's a classic, but it's one of the most boring. And with the actual F1 cars, it's the Grand Prix that makes less sense to keep in the calendar. It's very small, it's very narrow. I know it's a classic, but I'm sorry. We need more space for better tracks like Spa, for example, which we will talk later. We have Spain 2026 in Barcelona. There was some rumors that the capital Madrid was trying to hire some engineer that worked in Zandvoort in Holland or the Netherlands to try to remodel Jarama racetrack to try to bring F1 back to Madrid instead of Barcelona. For me, it's a mistake. The Netherlands Grand Prix is one of the worst in the calendar as well. Very narrow, a lot of corners and no space to overtake in. And if you check the layout of Jarama, it's more or less the same crap. I am sorry. They should not keep it. There's another Grand Prix, perhaps in Spain, which is, I think it's called Aragon. Which MotoGP races there. There's a straight. It's a more interesting layout, of course. There's a lot of corners, but there might be space to overtake in the straight lines. For me, it's a more, let's say, a modern racetrack. It could race there, all the categories, aside from MotoGP, of course. Lower Formula categories race there, and it's okay. So I think that could be an option if they want to keep the race in Spain. Of course, Jerez is not an option either. It's very small. They are remodeling it to try to make the back straight longer, but anyway, doesn't matter. Canada 2029, and especially if Lance Stroll is going to be racing there. It's a country with some let's say tradition of motor racing, and I think they're going to keep racing in Canada. Mostly Austria 2023, and looks like they will extend it another 3 years, especially if Red Bull is in the grid and the racetrack belonging to Red Bull. Probably they will keep it there. Great Britain 2024, but of course I mean, Silverstone is a classic. They will keep it in the calendar. Probably they will extend it, and I don't think any other racetrack in the UK can replace the Silverstone Grand Prix, right? We have Donington Park perhaps, but all the other racetracks in the UK don't make any sense for F1. Hungary 2027, another of the races that I would remove. However, it's in East Europe, very good for like the Finn fans and all these Eastern European countries that could go to watch the F1. Lots of tradition as well, has been in the calendar for a very long time, and I think they will keep it. And we come to Belgium. For me, and I think for everybody, one of the best racetracks in the calendar, not to say in the world. And looks like because they have some financial difficulties to pay the canon of the F1, which we will see later, they will probably be rotating between the Netherlands and Belgium, being so close to each other. We have more Dutch fans than Belgium fans of F1 with Max Verstappen, so they will keep the Netherlands Grand Prix, and probably they will rotate, as I say here, rotate it with Spa 1 year, like they made in Germany with the Nürburgring and Hockenheim. Perhaps for me, it's a very big mistake. I mean, you can rotate the Netherlands with any other Grand Prix, but Belgium, Spa-Francorchamps should be in the calendar. Yes, I mean, it should be. It's the Grand Prix. It's the most interesting Grand Prix usually, especially if the conditions are not nice. It's a classic, and you will see later how the canon of how much each Grand Prix is paying. You will see Monaco is a theft. Like they pay like $10 million per year to host the Grand Prix, plus some tax incomes, of course. But still, like Belgium should be the one that the F1 management should make, let's say, an exception with the contracts, like for example Monza as well, which they also have some difficulties with the canons, but anyway, not as much as Belgium. So Italy as well, 2024, probably they will extend it because Monza is another classic. The Temple of Speed, you have Singapore 2028, Japan 24, but of course they will extend it. I think in Suzuka still, Fuji was kind of not what people expected. That huge straight line makes no sense. So probably it's going to be in Suzuka as well. Qatar 2032, they made some remodeling in the racetrack to host the F1 Grand Prix as well, not for MotoGP. That's why, for example, if you are following MotoGP, you will see that this year Qatar is not the opening Grand Prix. It's going to be replaced by Portugal, and they will put it at the end in October or something like this because they are working to remodel it for the F1. You have the USA, which would be in Austin until 2026. It's a nice race, and I'm kind of happy if they can keep it there. Mexico 2025, let's see what happens, because in 2024 Sergio Perez's contract is finishing, and I am not sure that Red Bull is going to renew it, especially with his let's say rebel attitude, and seeing that perhaps they are not very good friends with Max Verstappen. Daniel Ricciardo is there as a reserve driver. And let's see what happens with Red Bull. And perhaps they will hire either Ricciardo, maybe Nick De Vries makes an amazing season in AlphaTauri and they ascend him. I really don't think Tsunoda is going to be there. And if Red Bull goes with Ford, I think Tsunoda might see the time in F1 kind of shortened. And let's see what happens with the junior team. Liam Lawson and all the drivers, which I will check another time as well. Might replace, and let's see what's going to happen with the Mexico Grand Prix. Brazil 2025, but of course it's another classic. Probably they will continue there. Las Vegas, it's a new one, and probably they will extend it to 2032, depending on how it goes. And Abu Dhabi 2030, let's see as well. A long time, and I think they will continue in the calendar, because who doesn't want to keep the F1 right there? And here is how much each Grand Prix is paying as a canon to host the F1 Grand Prix. You can see Bahrain is paying 52 million, especially because they also want to be the first Grand Prix of the calendar, which comes at a price. You have Saudi Arabia, 55 million. These are new. This is a new contract with a new management, so you can see it's kind of a huge difference between, like, you will see like the European ones and other countries, right? You will see that in the Middle East they are paying a lot. Qatar 55, Abu Dhabi 42, Azerbaijan 57, And then you see that Miami and Las Vegas, because it's F1 management, the ones who are making the Grand Prix, they have some kind of a different deal with that. I think the income comes in a very different way. Australia 37, Azerbaijan 57, Imola 21. You see Monaco, it's 10 million. They estimated around 20 million, but anyway, it's 10 million plus some percentage of the tax income of the Grand Prix. But it's let's say 10 million, depending on how many people go there. And you can see 10 million, and this one is 22 million. I mean, the best racetrack in the calendar should have this contract, and not Monaco. But anyway, Spain 25, Canada 32, Austria 25, which for Red Bull is nothing, UK 26, and I mean, these countries have no problem. 40, Belgium 22, Netherlands 32. The Netherlands, especially because the racetrack is, if you saw the Grand Prix this year, it's full. It's really completely packed. So 32 million should be no problem for the Netherlands. Italy, especially with sponsors and all this, nothing. Italy, Singapore, Japan, you see all these, Qatar 55, USA 30, Mexico, I mean Austin of course. And the racetrack usually is also packed, so no problem. Mexico also packed because of Perez, Brazil, Abu Dhabi. I mean, the canon is kind of, it's kind of not equal for everybody, right? Like you can see that the Arabian Emirates, whatever, let's say Muslim countries, hosting the Grand Prix are paying a huge amount of money. I mean, Azerbaijan 57 million to host the Grand Prix. How are they gonna make it, man? This is not. I don't know. Of course, they have one management. The more money they get, the better. And actually, this is one of the problems with Belgium, for example. Paying this 22 million is very difficult for them for some reason. With sponsorships and selling tickets and everything, it's kind of difficult. Even though it's a racetrack that hosts many different categories every year, not just F1, of course. Maintenance or whatever, for some reason they cannot pay this 22 million every year, and the F1 management does not care. They don't care keeping the classics. I'm not saying keeping Spain, my mate, Italy, Belgium, Silverstone, these are classics. Keep it. Like Brazil, Sao Paulo, I don't know. Keep them in the calendar, mate. Belgium disappearing from the calendar. It happened already in the past, in 2000. I don't know if it was 2005. No, 2006, 7. One of those years, it was not in the calendar. I think it's a big mistake for me. But anyway. They want more money, and of course, if they want to try to go to perhaps South Africa in Kialami or other countries, like I don't know, Indonesia, they have Mandalika racetrack, which I don't know if it's very fit for F1, to be honest. Or Vietnam, there was a project, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Malaysia might want to come back, but I don't think they are willing to pay a huge amount of canon as all these new racetracks. So where else are they going to go? Thailand? India again, which it was a kind of a failure of a racetrack. The racetrack is still there, and MotoGP are going there this year, but I don't know. I think I'm talking too much today. This is just my opinion. I mean, this is kind of a debate, right? But F1 just wants money, so the teams are happier, but at the same time, you cannot sacrifice classic Grand Prix like Belgium. Spa-Francorchamps should be in the calendar every year because it's one of the best races of the season. But anyway, and another thing I wanted to check is the salaries expected of each driver for this season. You can see between the first and the last the difference, right? Max Verstappen, double-time world champion, is earning more or less 51 million dollars per season. Of course, I'm guessing this is after tax. Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, 32.5 million. I mean, 2 times world champion, 7 times world champion. Is it fair? I don't know. Red Bull looks like, because the cost cap doesn't take driver salaries into consideration. But 50 million for someone who only won, and this is from last year, so it was only with one championship he was earning 50 million. It's a huge amount. Charles Leclerc, 22.3, Fernando Alonso, 20 million, Lando Norris, 18.6. There was a rumor that said that with a new multi-year annual contract, it was going to be somewhere like 24-ish. But let's see. I don't know when that contract comes into power, if it's going to be this season or whatever. So 18.6. Carlos Sainz is earning 11.1. Sergio Perez, 9.3. Valtteri Bottas, 9.3. I think this says a lot about Perez's level, right? Gerouge, for some reason, I don't like writing George Russell. I like to call him Gerouge. But anyway, George Russell, 7.4. Esteban Ocon, 5.5. Magnussen, Pierre Gasly, 4.6. Lance Stroll, 2.8. You can see the difference with Alonso. It's almost 10 times. Alexander Albon, 2.8. De Vries, Piastri, Zhou Guanyu, and Nico Hülkenberg are earning 1.8. And you can maybe discuss with Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg. You can see the difference in the salaries. Who has more talent, Hülkenberg or Magnussen? You can judge yourself if one of the drivers is justified or not. Let's see actually this season how this is going to be, because it's going to be a very interesting pair. Logan Sargent, 930,000, and Yuki Tsunoda, 930,000. After how many years this is his third season in F1 and still 930,000. Let's remember that AlphaTauri usually doesn't pay a lot to its drivers. Pierre Gasly was winning something like this in AlphaTauri because of what he did, right? Winning a race and everything. But anyway, this is more or less a short analysis of incomes, what races are paying and what so on. I'm gonna try to make these kind of interesting videos if you're into these kind of things in the future, if I can find some more facts about it. So stay tuned, and as per usual, take it easy. See you in another episode in next days, weeks, whatever.